welcome back to the podcast today. This is going to be such a great conversation. We've already been talking for almost a half hour and like such wonderful stuff, right? Okay, so our guest today is Linda Hunt, and she is a money clarity catalyst, pricing power strategist, and founder of SumSolutions LLC. She helps entrepreneurs achieve financial clarity, rebuild pricing power, and scale profitably without burnout or doubts. With decades of corporate finance experience and as an early pioneer of remote accounting services, Linda blends operational expertise with an understanding of how clarity, structure, and nervous system capacity drive sustainable growth. Through her financial clarity framework and pricing power rebuild, she equips business owners to stabilize overflow, increase profitably, and lead with confidence. Her upcoming book, The Money Conversation, which will be released in March of 26, furthers her mission to help entrepreneurs build wealth while honoring their energy, boundaries, and leadership. And these are all things that I can't tell you how much I celebrate. So, Linda, welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to your Profitable Law Firm podcast. I'm Kelley Brubaker, your dedicated host, passionate about empowering law firm owners. Let's dive into the hidden strategies that lead to overflowing profits, scaled growth, and thriving lives. This is where overwhelm transforms into confidence, enabling you to create and enjoy your dream firm and your dream life.
Kelley, thank you so much for having me. We had like you said, a great conversation pre-recorded.
Yeah, I mean, I talk to clients often about pricing, and I love to be able to get your perspective on, pricing, because I feel money is so emotional.
Yes.
And I love that you refer to nervous system because I've not thought of it that way. I've always thought about the emotions of money. But you're right, because I know I struggle with this. I've had my firm for 20 years. I still struggle with pricing, and because there's never a right answer. I know what I need it to be, right? But there's always that fear, the fear of being rejected,
Yeah.
and that you're going to make the wrong decision. But it's just so personal. And I've had times where I've sent out a proposal that I'm like, oh my God, this is so high. There's no way they're going to accept it. And like 30 seconds back, accepted. Oh. And then I've had other people who I, priced a little bit lower than I wanted to, but felt like it was appropriate. And then they pushed back. And so it feels like there's never like I'm either too low and that's wrong and too high and that's wrong. And so, but I know from, my perspective, I talk to these, I talk about this with my clients who are law firm owners. And
Right.
so, so how, I guess because let me ask you, when people come to you and talk to you about pricing, they commiserate, like my fees aren't enough. Or does it start with my, I don't have enough money in the bank? Does it start there? Or like, where does the conversation usually start when you talk to a client about pricing?
Right. That's a great question. And everything you've described is normal. Right. And it's all fixable. It's all fixable. So, and there is a right answer for pricing. I'll tell you that. Where do they start? That's a great question. Oftentimes it is, I don't have enough consistent cash in the bank. Okay. Can be that. And my calendar's busy all the time. So those are two signals, right? That something's off. And they know they're getting a steady stream of referrals. So they're kind of like, I don't understand what's happening. Another time people will come to me is a little bit of, a resentment and I need to raise my rates and I don't know how to do that type of thing. So, money is absolutely an emotionally charged subject. As service providers, it is the line between who we are, right, and the service we provide oftentimes blurs because we are passionate about what we do, right? It is our presence, it is our voice, it is our heart. And I can see you're very passionate about helping people, right? And most service providers are. So when we price ourselves, when we state our price, it often feels like we're pricing ourselves. So the first thing that we need to untangle, Kelley, is we need to untangle that we are not our service. Okay. Our service provides a result and or transformation, right? So the client
Okay.
is coming to us for a transformation. So if you can start, that's the first place that we need to start. We need to
Yeah.
kind of separate that a little bit, because money is emotionally charged. And then, personally for me, what showed up for me in my business is, I was taught as a or I learned as a child. I shouldn't say I was taught. This is how I learned to people please. I learned to overgive, overcompensate. And all of that showed up in my business. And women, this tends to be more predominant in women because
Great.
yeah, we all have male and female energy, right? And when we're operating in balance, especially for women, what is when we're in our flow, when we're making decisions from a not urgent place. Women need to not make decisions from an urgent place. If it feels like someone needs, this was one of the hardest things I had to learn. If someone needed an answer immediately, I learned to say no because at the end it always came back to bite me. So men have a little bit like men have no problem, and maybe some men do, but most men don't have, well, my rate's this. This is what it is. It's like, so we want to take a page out of their notebook, right? And that's because when I started in accounting, it was very male dominated,
Yeah,
extremely male,
me too.
right?
Yeah.
And there were a lot of women in doing the accounting services and the bookkeeping, not so many CPAs doing the taxes. And I left corporate and I started, and I had, I wouldn't say I wasn't management, but I was, a senior, in whatever I was. And I left corporate and here I am now with a master's degree and I'm telling everyone I do bookkeeping. So I had an identity. First of all, I had an
Yeah.
identity, uh, crisis of what I was really doing for businesses. So I'm overgiving and
Right.
I'm only charging for bookkeeping and I'm doing bookkeeping more efficiently and more faster and I'm earning less and less money. I didn't have enough money in my bank. I couldn't pay myself, right? It was
Right.
absolutely like, how is this possible? I'm
Right.
an intelligent woman. I can't do this. Um
Right.
yeah, I got myself to the brink of burnout. I was exhausted and I didn't have any money. So what I did is I stepped back a little bit and I asked myself, you know, I just had to ask myself, do I really want to do this? And the answer was yes. Because I was passionate. I loved working for myself. I wanted that work-life balance. I said that I have to be able to do that. And that's when I uncovered, and you and I talked about this a little bit before the
Yeah.
we started recording, but I call it the minimum aligned price. And what I did, I actually sat down and I said, okay, how much money do I need to live on?
Yeah.
How much money does my business need, right, to support itself and maybe have a little extra in case I want to, I don't know, advertise, buy a tool, whatever it is. And how much time do I truly want to be client facing? True billable time. And I calculated that number and, I don't even remember what it was, but let's just say it was $50 an hour. And I wasn't
Right.
that's your floor. So if you're
Yeah.
charging below this dollar amount, you are in essence paying your clients to work for them.
Yeah.
I was paying my clients to work for them. So the
Yeah.
first thing I did when I saw that was I said, okay, I've got to create a package. I've got to create a way for me to have steady income from
Right.
this accounting work. And that's the first step I did. But that was such an eye-opening exercise. And I know
It is, isn't it?
it's
Right.
so eye-opening. And then the other thing I'll tell you is it's your floor. It's where you start. It's not what you charge.
Right.
I felt uncomfortable with that floor.
I did the same thing. I did something very similar and was still like, there's no way. People are not going to pay that. There's no
Right.
way.
Right.
And
Yep.
and I don't live an extravagant life. So
Right.
I mean, we're talking my minimum number. I'm like, that just seems so crazy. But yet I need my business to be sustainable. And I will often say, I want you to have the business that sustains your life, right?
Yes.
I like the tagline to my company. So my company name is Profit Scale Thrive. And the idea is to guide clients to overflowing profits, which funds scaled growth, then leads to a thriving life. And I just want you to have the life you want, whether that's you take one vacation a year or one every other year, or if you take a vacation every quarter,
Right.
or you want the big house, you want the small house with the expensive car. I don't care, like no judgment. I don't care what you want. But I want to help you get it. And
Right.
it all comes down to, you can't price. So frequently I will ask somebody, how did you come up with your billable rate? Well, Joe across the hall in the
Oh my
office
gosh.
building.
Comparison. We cannot compare what we do.
Right.
Yes, good to know, but it's not
Yeah.
who you are. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. There's a
'Cause you
lot of
don't know what their lifestyle, you don't know what their business is.
right.
Unless you have actually worked in that other office, you don't know what tools they have or don't have.
Right.
You don't know. There's just so much you don't know about their
Correct.
structure in their office,
Correct.
and you don't know if their clients are happy.
You don't.
So, how are they working? I mean, you just
Right.
don't. There's just so much you don't know.
You-
So
you're
that's why it's a bad comparison. And I know who did it. That was my first iteration of pricing.
Yeah.
Was I cold called all the accounting firms in my like area. How much for blah blah blah, and then I'd write it down. Oh, okay, thank you. I'll call you back. Yeah.
Well, we
Lost
all
the number because this is like the days where we were still using landlines, because I started in 2005. So like block the number from caller ID just in case they had caller ID, and then how much if I do, and does it cost more for this, and I came up with a whole grid of pricing for the area,
right.
and then I priced at the bottom. I'm like, no, I'm going to price at the bottom so people will come to me. And they did. And I grew my business so fast in the beginning, it killed me. I was burned out because I had so much work and I still had no money in the bank.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Because
so
you created a
yeah.
hustle. You created a
Yes.
business model that was based on hustle. But you said something before that I want to touch on. And you said, no one's going to pay me that. Like when you came up with your floor, no one's going to pay me that. And that is us projecting our own money story onto others.
Yeah.
Money is an emotionally charged subject, right? It just is. We all have grown up, whether we believe it or not, whether we're aware of it or not. We all have beliefs around money, what money means to us, how we use it, whatever. It's there, I promise you. And I'm not going to turn this into a money mindset course because that's not what I teach. But
Yeah.
when you think about that, Kelley, when you think about, oh my God, they won't pay that. I want you to drop into your body and tell me where in your body do you feel uncomfortable? Right. So that is the nervous system regulation, because we think it, our minds think it, but it's getting the signal from our body. So while pricing's not math, pricing is not math, pricing is nervous system regulation. And it is also based in, and this is to answer what you were talking about, don't compare yourself to another firm because you have no idea what they're doing. You have to be solid in your process. What's the transformation you deliver? What are the results you get for your clients? Now, I can tell you I have an accounting services and bookkeeping division, right? As part of my company.
Okay.
We work with, let's just say we work as the accounting department, right? For medium to small to medium sized businesses.
Right.
We do not do write-up work. Okay. So because for a couple of reasons. One, I don't like write-up work, right? It was like, I function better when we were in step with the client. So that was like, so I started to design my process around what I enjoyed doing. And that's when I also started getting success, right? Like when you enjoy what you're doing and you have a repeatable and services do have repeatable processes. They are
Absolutely. I agree.
I know you may have a different job with every client, but
Yeah.
Bookkeeping is bookkeeping is bookkeeping. So think of that. Think of I call that the vanilla layer of ice cream, right?
Yeah.
And then the nuance comes from the business that you're
Right.
working, how they do things or what industry they're in, whatever. That's the sprinkles or the fudge sauce or the whipped cream,
Right.
whatever it, right?
Right.
So get clear in your process, right? Get clear in your process on how you deliver. And here's the other thing about service businesses. How we charge, there is a time factor. But then there's
Okay.
also the
Yeah.
intrinsic value, right? So what we described earlier when you and I were talking about it, that minimum aligned price, that is the floor.
Yeah.
That is what you need to survive. But then you're going to add an intrinsic value
Yes.
that applies to the transformation that you're giving, right? And like I don't know, like, but the thing is too, in my book, I also talk a lot about, um, I provide a lot of scripts because for
Okay.
me, um, I knew the number, right? That I figured out the number I
Yeah.
needed to charge, but then I couldn't say it without my voice shaking. So
Right.
I practice in front of the mirror, like this is how I charge my rates and and I found that when my voice didn't crack, I didn't, the client, it was like, well, there were a lot of men when I first started, a lot of men business. There were a lot less in business
Oh, I
owners.
agree.
Yeah,
I
a lot
agree.
less. So men would they would see the door and they'd be like, "Oh, okay." So they would try to negotiate me. And I was
Yeah.
operating this people pleaser. And they'd be like, okay, I just want to get the business and I'll prove that I can
Yeah.
do a great job and they're going to reward me. No, that doesn't work.
Right.
None of
Mhm.
them. Um, so the thing is, you 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 are part of your equation. I guess that's the other thing I want people to know. Like you
Yeah.
can't have a business and pay yourself last because if you're paying yourself last,
Yeah.
you have just deregulated your nervous system, right? I lived this. I mean,
Yeah.
there were months I didn't have enough money in the bank, right? And I'm like, how is this
Yes.
possible?
I'm working all the time.
I'm working
Like,
all the time. And why? This is
like,
insane. Like, what am I doing wrong? Well, what I was doing wrong is I was not true about the capacity that I was working, right? So I was creating I was creating a rate that wasn't based on true billable hours, right? That rate did not give me time off. That rate did not allow me to be sick. That rate didn't allow me to take a
yeah.
vacation, right?
Right.
All of that
Right.
needs to be built in. You get that minimum aligned price, right? You know what that is. That's your foundation. Even if you, and I don't advise this, even if you charge that, you're going to
Yeah.
be able to sustain yourself. You're going to be able to,
Correct. Right. I
and,
completely agree because you've
and
accounted for everything. Like you've essentially created a budget. You've said, as long as these are the things I'm spending on, whether it's to sustain your business or your personal life,
correct,
you know that you have that money coming in, so it'll be covered.
correct.
Then things balance, like the cart gets unbalanced because, oh my gosh, you have to have a surgery you didn't plan for, or
Right.
an opportunity
Absolutely.
comes up for a vacation with friends and you're like, oh, I don't know, or summer camp for kids, or just so
Whatever.
things get upset, and that's why you need the extra. But
Correct.
I like that you talk about transformation, because I know for me as an accountant, I didn't really talk about until the last couple of years about the
Right.
transformation I can help clients with. And
Sure.
I can guarantee, I work with law firms and I don't go through their intake process or their sales process. So I don't know, but I can just guess none of them are talking about the transformation.
No.
They just know somebody comes to me because they had a DUI, they were in a car crash, they were going through bankruptcy or getting a divorce. I mean, I'm divorced, so I know for me, I actually have, now that I say that, I've been through one time, I've been through an intake process. There was no talk about a transformation.
Yeah.
And, I just dreaded the entire process, and it had nothing to do. I had an amazing attorney. She was great, but it was just so, no transformation. It was literally just, I'm like, how much do I owe you? But then also being a business owner, I knew I kind of had, and at that point I had already worked with law firms. So I had an idea, and she just gave me an amount. And she goes, and I can't tell you how much it's going to cost because it's an hourly rate. And if you're X, soon to be X, if he argues everything, it's going to be a lot more. If you guys agree, it'll be less. And
Right.
I'm like, okay. And I just dealt with it. But I like the idea of talking about that transformation. Here you are today, and this is probably, regardless of what your issue is, if you're hiring an attorney, unless if it's, mergers and acquisitions,
Right.
which could be a happy thing most times, I would say maybe like 75, 80% of the time you hire an attorney and it's one of the worst moments of your life for whatever reason.
Sure.
And because I know what I went through when I got divorced. It was horrible, dreadful for 2 years. We dragged it out. It was just blah.
Yeah.
But I never thought about it from the transformation side. And so I feel like you're right. You have to give credit because you are transforming, whether you're telling them that or not. You're taking them from their misery today to resolving that, and it's done. Like, and you're fixing the problem. So I do like that you talk about that. And there's a value to that.
There's a value to that. And like you said, it doesn't matter what kind of law case it is, right? Like if you're being sued and, and it's unjust or whatever, because that happens a lot. People get sued unjustly and you're scared. And now you've got to pay lawyers' fees and all these other things. If the lawyer says to you, I actually had a friend who was being sued and she's like, can you just come with me for moral support? And like the first 4 attorneys that we, so Connecticut's a PMJ state, PMJ. So she was like, oh my God. She's like, these first 4 attorneys just want to go to court. And I'm like, oh my God. Right. And she really just wanted to resolve this. And we kept going, but, she finally found an attorney who said, the first question he said to her is, what result do you want?
I love that.
What result do you want? She's like, I want it to go away. Because she actually had a countersuit. She could have countersued this person, but in Connecticut, that's a whole separate issue. Whatever. Doesn't matter. But the thing, what I loved is that he said to her, what result do you want? And she says, and yes, that might have been wishful thinking. He's like, okay, well, we can, so that's your result. So that tells me you don't want to go to court immediately. Let's see what we can do. And then he, stepped things out for her. And it was just so refreshing, right? But that taught me that this happened many, many years ago. And that taught me, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Clients come to me. This is when I was only doing accounting work. Clients are coming to us because they're not getting something that they want. Let me find out what that is. Let me find, and if you don't know what it is and this is also very interesting. I actually, when I started asking clients, like, what is it I do for you? They said things that were so different than what I thought was important. Yes. And I was just like, well, we work with a law firm and they're like, you get us the prepaid expenses within hours of us of telling you a case is settled. So that is priceless because we can turn around and get our clients payout to them within 3 days. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Had no idea that was the most valuable thing to them. Like, yeah, we did month-end close and their numbers, but the most valuable thing to them is that we were helping them in their customer service.
Right.
So your service can impact someone. The result of what you're doing, or you're just the cog in the part of the machine, can go beyond what you really think that is. And if you know that, right, that bolstered me. That gave me confidence. That helped me go, oh, well, my process, we work with multiple industries. I then turn around and say, well, we help you in customer service. And I actually had some business say to me, well, how do you do that? And I said, well, for our da-da-da-da-da. And then I could see the wheel turning in their head. And they went, oh, right. I can see you can help us. You're going to be able to help us do X because we're going to have Y.
Right. And that's the thing. And so I kind of struggle a little bit. So I'm a fractional CFO for law firms. And where I struggle sometimes is somebody will say to me like, well, I need a marketing person. I need, I need all these people. And I'm like, well, I can kind of help you. I can help you interpret your numbers. I'm a numbers person. So
Right.
I can help you with, do you even have enough leads? But, or I can help you interpret, is your ad, like you place an ad on Google, is that performing well? Because we can trace it back to, new
Data.
clients coming in the door. Right. And so I'm like, I can help you analyze the numbers, but when it comes to writing the copy for an ad, you're right. I'm like, that's not my thing.
Right.
And so it's sometimes I struggle with, where's the lane? I try to stay in my lane, but where's my
Yeah.
lane? But as a financial person,
Well,
you're in the whole business.
you're in the whole business, but you're
It's
also
all money.
Yeah, but you're also CFO level, Kelly. So your strategy,
Yeah.
right? So I
Right. Right.
do think that's your lane. I think, like you said,
Yeah.
I don't do the copywriting. But what's fascinating as a business owner is we wear a lot of hats. I don't care how lean you are. I don't care how much money you're making. We wear a lot of hats. And the thing I've learned is you have to get clear about whether the role is execution or strategy. And you don't want to blur them. You don't want to blur them.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, because if you blur them as a service, especially as a service provider and the owner of your own business, you're the one with the most context in the business and you're left holding that bag, which then affects your pricing. So everything,
Right.
pricing is structural, right? Pricing is structural. I don't want we can go off on a different direction on this. But pricing is structural and you get that foundation right. And then, then you've got to kind of look at scope creep. You got to kind of look at, okay, I now know what my floor is. How many of my clients are not paying that rate? Okay, I've got to raise their rates. How do I do that?
Absolutely.
How do I do that? That conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you have that conversation? Because in your head, because aren't you saying like, oh no, I just realized I'm undercharging on these.
Yeah.
I don't believe they're going to pay the higher rates.
Right.
So like, how do you even prep for that conversation?
Right. So first of all, pricing increases are a normal event of business, right?
Yeah.
Like as service providers, we should have a price increase annually. I know many service providers who do not raise their rates, but you said something very important. It's like, okay, once we know that floor, right? And we find out, okay, 5 of my clients are not charging enough and I just raised their rate. I just increased my monthly revenue $5,000. That's huge. That's $60,000 a year. Okay.
Right.
What we have to do is get the nervous system, right, to get, make it okay within, I call it the nervous system, but make it okay. We have to be okay with that, right? So
Right.
the process that I recommend is you do not ask for permission when you're raising your rates. You communicate so if you're just strictly raising rates and you're not changing scope of work, you can communicate that via email. And you want to give them 30 to 60 days notice. And it's just basically like, you want to be neutral. You don't want to over explain. You just want to say as, effective, like my cleaning service just did this. They sent me out an email. Effective January 1st, your new rate will be, and it's like, and then basically you just write a very neutral email, effective so-and-so, our rates will, your new rate will be, and then you invite them. If you have any questions, please feel free to call me. And then you have to have that conversation. Now, the first time I did that, I sent the email. I prayed no one. Actually, let me back up.
Please.
I actually sent this big, long-winded email, voicemail. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, I just blubbered for like 8 minutes here,
Oh no.
And I didn't hear anything back. And I was just like, oh my gosh. When I sent the bill, there was no issue. I just sent the bill. I was just like type of thing. But I learned that you don't over explain, you send the email, and there will be some people who call you who will say, okay, tell me why this is happening. And they're asking because they want clarity. So the thing is that you have to say is, look, this is this is the cost of living. Like right now, we all know everything's increasing, right? Every single thing is like, we are trying to keep pace. and we haven't raised your rates, and some of the tools that are being used, and just to ensure that you're getting the quality of
Yeah.
service that we're used to, we need to do this. Okay. Most people will be okay with that, but maybe your client's in a situation where they can't. Okay. So then they
Right.
might push back. Then what you want to do is come to them with solutions, Kelley. You want to say, okay, tell me more about that. Open and just say, okay, maybe we need to go with a lighter scope. But
Right.
what you're doing is you're holding your boundaries. You are still going to raise your rates, but you
Right.
might less, which then allows a more aligned client to come in. Because when we keep adjusting our pricing and adjusting our boundaries, and when there's scope creep and we don't go back and charge for it, we are inviting in misalignment. And that is what we will have. Like my entire client portfolio when I first started out was like, I called it the band of misfits. Correct.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The
I had the
I
same thing.
I had one client, and granted, we are learning, right? We came from corporate. We didn't know, you didn't know what you didn't know. So you're living,
Exactly.
you're learning, and
Right.
but you need to learn fast. And through all that band of misfits, we had a wonderful service, personal injury law firm, which they were the nicest firm. I loved that firm. I learned so much from that firm about customer service, and I had a wonderful the lawyer who was my financial contact. He was phenomenal. Absolutely learned how to provide good service because he challenged me at every turn, every turn.
Nice.
Yeah. And basically what I learned is that when you hold your boundaries and you go back and you say, okay, we are doing this. This is not part of the scope of work. We need
Yeah.
to raise your rate. The clients who are in alignment with you will lean in, and then
Okay.
who are
Yeah.
not will fade away. Yes, I had quite a few clients leave, and that was scary. But what also happened was very quickly the aligned clients came in, and I had peace of mind. We weren't hustling. I was finally getting that work-life balance. So it is worth it to challenge yourself. And in my book, The Money Conversation, it has scripts, it has the process. These are the things that I lived and learned. And
Yeah.
you practice the script in front of the mirror. And I promise you, it's a muscle that can be strengthened. And you can strengthen your pricing, because if you're going to provide services, you've got to be present. I mean,
Yeah.
how many of us, like, I was not present in my personal life at all. I was single at the time,
Right.
not present in my personal life because I was consumed by the fact I was working all the time and I didn't have enough money.
Right.
It's like, it's just like I would go out with friends and I'd be like, oh my God, I can't afford this. You know,
Right.
like I wasn't
Right.
even fun.
Right. Because you're so stressed. I mean,
You're
you're just
so
stressed at
stressed.
every single decision because say you're at one restaurant or you're at a bar and somebody says, let's go to this next bar. And you're like, oh no, because they like the minimum drinks, $20. I can't afford that. It's stressful. I mean, it bleeds into your entire life. It's too
Leads
much
into your entire
sometimes.
life. Yeah.
Yeah.
So pricing is foundational. Um,
Yeah.
Getting that right, everything else will start to fall into place. Everything.
Yeah.
I promise, because
Yeah.
I'm living proof. I'm living proof.
Absolutely. And I agree. I completely agree. I mean, I love everything that you've said. Because I've lived it all as myself, and I still have little struggles every now and then with different things, but it's just so foundational as a business owner. And I think where a lot of law firm owners struggle is that, see if your experience was similar to mine. Even as an accountant, I went to school. Yeah, I have my bachelor's. I have I have an accounting degree. Nobody taught me how to run a business.
No.
And you've got a lot of professional service providers. Now colleges are changing now, like now we're in 2026, right? But I mean,
Yeah.
I went to school in the 90s. And so, back then there was no entrepreneurial studies. There was not a class on business management.
Correct.
And nowadays, they're adding that because there's been pushback. But think about, how many lawyers, doctors, dentists, professionals that have
No,
their own business, they don't know how to know how to run their business.
they
They're
don't.
so focused on client service. And
Correct.
that's what makes it so hard to run the business
Yeah.
because it's
Well,
two different hats. It's
two,
so hard.
two different hats, and you cannot be an expert in everything. Um,
Right.
owner. The job of you as the owner is to hold the vision, right?
Yeah.
And yes, you're also going to have to execute. But the thing I learned is that you want to make yourself in your own business replaceable. Doesn't
Yeah.
make you invaluable, but it
Right.
makes it allows your service business to function without you. Now, you might have listeners out here going, well, wait a minute, I don't want to do that. I just want to be me. I
Right.
just want to have a nice practice where I don't have to stress or worry about it. You can have that. You still
Right.
want to make sure that you've got the process down so that it's repeatable. Because if you want to go on vacation or whatever it is, pricing, the pricing and your delivery has to be structured. It just has
Absolutely.
because the structure is you. That structure is your business holding you versus
Yes.
you holding your business, right? Because
Right.
and I'm talking to the women and men out there. We are
Yeah.
already holding our families up, right? Whether you're a
Right.
mom and you've got little kids, or you've got elderly parents, or you've got
Yeah.
whatever the situation is, you're already holding so much in your personal life. Don't add holding your business to that. Structure your business. And
Right.
it's not hard to do. Once you have that foundation in your pricing, it becomes easy. It's like learning anything new. It may seem daunting at first, but I promise you,
Yeah.
I promise you, I promise you. Yeah. And you can make you can do little steps, micro steps that will dramatically change your pricing. And
Yeah.
then you'll start to get, you know, excited about it
Absolutely.
and just keep going. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like we could talk about this all day and I don't want to keep you. We've already been talking for an hour. So, okay. So we know that your book is coming out in March. What is the best way for someone to reach out to you? They want to
Sure.
talk about pricing and they want to
Yeah.
reach out to you. What's the best ways? And we'll put any links or emails
All
in
right.
to the show
Great.
notes. So anybody listening, you don't have to write it down. Just go to the show notes.
Okay.
But share with us what's the best way somebody can reach out
Yeah.
to you.
So first go to my website,
Yep.
sumsolutions.com, www.sumsolutions.com. On there, I do have a free training. I referred to the minimum aligned price. It is a free training. It's about 10 to 15 minutes with a companion workbook.
Okay.
Go and calculate your minimum line price. It is easy and it is eye-opening. Okay. And
Yeah.
then we have other resources there. I have some trainings on the most common issues around pricing, raising your rates, how to renegotiate contracts, all that fun stuff. And if you're still circling, with an issue, that you like the self-calculation, the training wasn't enough, I do offer a pricing reset session where there's pre-work, but you come in and it's tactical, and you will, after 75 to 90 minutes, you will feel differently about your pricing, and we'll probably even be able to restructure your pricing during that
Right.
session. So yeah. But yeah, if
I love all of that.
come visit me at my website, I would love to have you there and check out our resources and get to know you better. So yeah.
No, that's great. Linda, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. This has just been a wonderful conversation. And I know that all the listeners are going to take away some value from this. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
If you are listening to this podcast episode and you're thinking, I know I need to understand my numbers in my law firm better, but I'm just not ready for CFO support. That's exactly why I created a program called Profit Strong 90. Now, Profit Strong 90 is a structured 90-day course designed specifically for law firm owners who want financial clarity without the overwhelm. So inside this course, you're going to learn how to understand your profit and loss without feeling intimidated, identify where profit is leaking from your firm, improve cash flow predictability, build financial habits that support long-term growth, and make better decisions using real data instead of gut instincts. Now, this isn't theory. It is practical step-by-step guidance built around how law firms actually operate. If you want to feel more confident looking at your numbers, if you want to stop guessing, and if you want to build a stronger financial foundation for your law firm, I can't make this any better of an offer. It's free. Click the link in the show notes below to join Profit Strong 90. This is where clarity starts for you.